We like to make it interesting, I guess, apparently. But, hey, I'll take the win. Played well at times, especially in the second quarter, last 8 minutes of the game. We kind of spun our wheels at different times. It's obvious the things that we got to continue to clean up. We weren't very good on third down. Maybe on either side of the ball we can continue to get better. We really, struggled to run the ball, in the third quarter, and then the last 8 minutes of the game, all of a sudden it reappeared. And, I do think that the positive that comes out of it is if you stay committed to your plan, eventually it's going to come through. And, it's always easy when things don't work. The first thing most people want to do is throw the plan in the garbage and start over. And that's about the last thing I think you can do with the football team, because then all of a sudden you're dismissing all the reps that you took all fall camp, all spring, and said that they don't matter anymore. There's probably people out there that say we're lucky to win. I'm okay with that. I'd rather be lucky than have lost.
Coach, with J.D. Peterson, I think he was in on 11 tackles, including that big one that basically turned the ball over for Nevada and then gave you the ball to basically run it out. Can you speak about what his play was tonight?
Well, it just not tonight, but all year. I mean, he has been, he's probably hitting, 6 games in. He's probably over 50 tackles already on the year. Tremendous leader. Just a great part of the locker room, great part of the unit. And he's helping young guys behind him, and that's what you want to see, servant leadership out of your best. When your best players are your best leaders, you got something special going on.
What particular struggles did you see from the offense in the second half, and just the way things were kind of working with, especially in the run game, especially?
Well, I think we. And again, I need to be careful how I say this, because again, I think we have the best staff in the country and the best staff on the West Coast. So I think we got away from the run game a little bit. We got frustrated, and so we got into some 5-step. I thought we could have used maybe some quick game a little bit and got the ball out faster. We knew they had good pass rushers. We knew they had players on the edge, and they were going to dial up some designer pressure. So we just got away from who we were, and then the last 8 minutes, we had to just rededicate ourselves to what we've been working on, who we are. Like I said, it was a roller coaster at times tonight offensively, and then third down we struggled. I'm trying to find it on here. We were 3 of 13. We got 2 big ones late. I think going into that last series we were 1 of 10. That's not a recipe for success.
And then particularly from the positives you saw, maybe in the second quarter when you get these turnovers and you capitalize on the turnovers and you're able to punch it in that aspect. Do you take that from this game, or does the sour taste?
No. We're gonna celebrate all victories. We're gonna celebrate all wins. Defensively, what is it? 8 turnovers now in 2 games. When you give up 17 points or less, I think you win about 80% of your games. I don't think there's a person in here or a person in our stadium or in this building that wouldn't take 80%. Wins or a winning rate at 80%.
Coach, you started the second half with 4 3-and-outs, and then that amazing last drive where you burned the last 8+ minutes off the clock. What changed between that 4th and eventually the 5th drive that won you the game?
Well, you know what? If I knew exactly, I would probably be a millionaire and I wouldn't be sitting up here. But I think we got back, as you saw in a couple of those 3-and-outs, we just went out there, and all of a sudden I think we started to press a little bit in our play calling, the personnel on the field, and I think we just had to take a deep breath and just trust our training, go back to the things that we were good at, and that's what we did. And then Brandon Ramirez, what a great job, limited reps during the course of the game, but comes in and gets 40 big-time yards for us.
And that big conversion on that last drive, E.J. Warner scrambling for 11, 12 yards
Yep.
to get that first down. Tell us about that, right? It seemed pretty big.
Well, of course, it was third down, so it was a big, otherwise we knew they were going to bring a bunch of pressure on if we had a punt. But again, EJ caught him playing a bunch of back-to-the-ball defense, and I think people sometimes minimize the ability of EJ to take off and run. That hasn't been who he is over the course of his career, but he's a solid athlete, and he's a guy that can hurt you with his legs.
Coach, the defensive line pretty much forced 2 interceptions with the tips. Was there any tips that you got from?
No, that's something we work on every week. Just trying to block shots. And if we get tips and overthrows, we got to have those as turnovers. And so anytime we can get our hand up, I think that's a really good thing, and our guys do a good job. It's something that both our D-line coaches, Coach O and Coach Geely, both emphasize every day at practice.
And then chaos in the second quarter with all the turnovers and scores, just how hard is that to
I think probably I tried not to have too many emotional swings, or at least show them, because if I'm panicked, then everyone starts to panic. And so, again, just get back to your training, get back to who we are. Let's not change let's not throw out the plan because that's what we've been practicing. And again, I think you all of a sudden lose a bunch of credibility when you get away from what you've been practicing or who you are.
Coach, was there someone or something said in the huddle going into that final drive that really sparked the offense?
I think they just knew that they could put it away, that they could end it. And that was a big time play. I don't know how many plays it was, but I know it was 8 minutes plus. 2 big time third down conversions, great ball security, all that stuff. So, we need to lean on that group. That group has changed who they are. They practice different. They're climbing. Again, we all know success isn't linear. It's up and down. We had our ups and downs today, but we finished in a good mode, in a good place. They're in there beating themselves up over it because they're frustrated on the game. We won. All right, we're going to celebrate all wins, and we're going to fix it come Monday.
And how refreshing is it to have a bruising back like Braden come in and ice the game?
It's awesome. It's great, and I think as we continue to evolve as an offense, we got to find different ways to use him because he is a big physical kid, runs really well. He's a one-cut guy, has solid hands out of the backfield as well, and so I'm excited about him.
Coach, in the moment, it just felt like you guys were on a roll in the second quarter, but in the framework of 60 minutes, how critical were those takeaways in winning this game?
Well, it was huge. That was my. And again, I know here it says we're 3 out of 4 in red zone opportunities, but it was probably 1 out of 4 touchdowns. We kicked 2 field goals. We had opportunities to, shoulda, coulda, woulda. It could have been 35-3 at halftime if we just scored touchdowns instead of kicking field goals. And so we have plenty to work on. We are far from a finished product, but that's what's exciting when you can find ways to win games and even not play your best. And again, I'm not taking anything away from Coach Choate and Nevada. They came in here, had a great plan, and played extremely hard.
Can you speak on the challenges of Nevada's D-line and what you guys had on their quarterback that ultimately played most of the
Well, I don't know if they played 3 different quarterbacks tonight, so it's hard to have anything. Chuba Purdy has played more football than anybody else. He's been a couple different places. When he started at Arizona State, was at Nebraska, then now at Nevada. We have seen bits and pieces of the others. We kind of knew what their MO was. Each one had kind of a different game plan or had shown some different things on film. And so we just try to coach our kids on what to anticipate. And, again, getting our hands up, getting our hands in throwing lanes, creating some turnovers or takeaways early in the game was critical.
And on their D-line, just how tough of a matchup was
They were good. They were good. They were exactly what we anticipated. And then you throw in some designer pressures that they came up with. They did a really good job on third down.
Thank you.
The offensive game plan typically with the run sort of stifled in the second half. Was there a game plan to sort of counter that? Sorry. Nevada was sort of like limiting
Yep.
you guys' run. How were you guys able to counter that?
Well, as you saw late in the game, we jumped into a bunch of gap scheme stuff, and so we started to run some counter. We started, which was good. We were able to collect all the movement, get the end kicked out, and get downhill with Brandon. Then we ran some duo where it was just vertical combos trying to climb to the play side backer, and we just went back to what we were good at, some day 1, day 2 install stuff. And again, if people are gonna find ways to beat you, make them beat you doing your best stuff.
It's a 4-quarter game, but all 20 points came in the second quarter. What message does that send to your team, either positive or negative?
I think, again, I don't need to speak for them. They're frustrated that we didn't have better production offensively. I don't need to come in on Monday and belittle anybody. We're going to continue to get better. I see it on their face. I could tell when I was in the locker room. But I tell you this, all 3 phases had at some point during the game, special teams, defense, offense had to elevate their play, and we had to lean on each other. And so, again, creating a team that is based on complementary football, I'll take it. Because one of these days, we're going to get all 3 phases going, and it's going to be pretty cool.
Coach, can you talk about, I don't know, how difficult is it when your offense is out of sync, going 3 and out, and then they put it together to grind it out for that final possession?
Well, yeah, I think it's just I don't know if I want to use the word difficult, but I'm really excited about that they were able to do that. That was a moment that, you know, you knock on wood, you hope that's a defining moment for those young men. You know, football doesn't define who they are, their character, the size of their heart. But man, they came out and they showed it at the end. It would have been easy to get chippy, you know, get in our own way, false starts, all that stuff. We kind of eliminated some of those things. We got the ball downhill, and you know, I'm excited. Good for those guys. We could lean on them. There was a moment, 8 minutes of really good ball at the end of the game, so we know we can do it. And now hopefully we need to take that energy into next week.
Now, are you the type of coach that enjoys that type of smash mouth holding the ball?
Heck yeah. If we could do that the whole game, we could get this thing over, you know, in about 75 minutes, right? So that's what I'd like to do. Less stress.
Coach,
I can hear you.
you can hear me okay. How good a sign is it for your football program and your football team that you said the guys look a little disappointed, that you know you're a little bit frustrated,
Sure.
that you guys are 5-1 and you're coming off a win?
Right, and that's them. That's the body language that I read in there. It's always a race to maturity, especially with a new staff, new players, new situation. We're still trying to figure each other out, but for them to know that there's a standard that they've created, not Matt Entz, but our players have created, and when they don't get there or they don't continue to elevate the standard, that they want to get back out there. These guys will be ready. They'll want to play Tuesday this week because it's just some of the things that we didn't do well enough, you know. But at the end of the day, we played well enough to win. And again, we have to celebrate all victories.
And then kind of your take on EJ. Again, you know, 18-26, you know, struggled at times, but again, when the game was on the line, came up with a couple of
No doubt, 2 big catches with our tight ends right down the middle of the field in that last drive. That was big time for us. But you know, EJ continues to get better. You know, we need to look at some things from a self-scout standpoint. I think they had a beat on some split recognition when they had the interception. I mean, they jumped it before he even threw it. And so we need to be better as a staff. We'll continue to clean that stuff up. But he's doing a good job. I mean, a huge third down conversion, made throws, 18-26. Again, completing 67% of his passes. You know, and I don't know. I should just look. That's why I have this piece of paper right here. You know, threw for 2 touchdowns again. So I mean, we're coming, and he's going to be in here right away tomorrow, watching it. You know, in with Coach Davis. All right, reflecting and trying to get better from the game.
And then just curious, you know, a couple of the really positive signs, you know, from Richie Anderson there, who's very
Yep.
involved in the passing game, and then also Josiah Freeman, you know, catching a couple touchdown passes.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, I think, would you agree that's something to kind of build on? And
Oh, of
something to
course,
expect
of
out those
course.
guys?
You know, when our best players and some of our most talented players are making big time plays at big time moments, that's a positive sign. It's good to see Josiah's kind of been battling a little bit of an injury, lower body injury, and for him to be healthy and get back going and get into the flow of the game was really big. You know, with us losing Zeke early in the game, it put more of a role on Josiah, you know, to be in there in the run game and pass game. But again, he did it without blinking, without flinching.
Thanks, Coach.
Awesome. Guys, have a great night. Yep.
Yeah, I think we've done a great job and set a high standard for this group, and we know what we can accomplish. And I think we're still just waiting to put our best product on the field. But, you know, we got to be grateful for every win that comes our way. You know, they're not easy down the stretch, as we've learned. I've learned as my time here. You know, it gets tough to win late in the year. But anytime we're walking off that field with a win, man, we got to be happy, and we've got to be happy knowing our best football is in front of us, and we can get better this week.
Take me through the interception, that play.
Yeah, I mean, just great preparation all week. Our coach is putting us in good spots, you know, and, you know, just making the plays that come to me. I think that was the biggest thing I just wanted to focus on walking into today, you know. Just me being myself. I don't have to make every play, but if I just make the ones that come to me, then I'll be in a great position and, you know, just doing the job for my teammates. And like I said, the coach is putting us in a good spot, and it's awesome to see those turnovers come in bunches and the other guys continue to pile it on. That's kind of been something that's happened for us the last 2 games is just turnovers pile on top of each other, and I hope we can continue that and continue that into a full game next week.
You know, sometimes wins can be described maybe as a little ugly, right? But as a defensive guy, do you take a little pride in winning ugly?
Like I said, any win's a win. Any win's a good win. And a good sign of a good football team is when you can win and you're not playing your best football. But I think it's been. I think the last 2 games we played 6 quarters of really, really good football. I think we left 2 out there today in the second half. But like I said, we can continue to get better. But we got to be better there in the second half. And the offense gives us 17 points a spot going into half. We've got to be better. They did a great job, but we just got to finish the game. And I think we'll be pretty happy.
And then by the end of that third quarter, it was kind of getting close. What was the feeling on the sideline when it was kind of getting closer?
Yeah, I know. I think we still have so much confidence, going out there every single drive, and we know every time we step on that field, our best is good enough. And if we're just playing our best football, then, we feel like we're a pretty good team, and I think it's tough in that time. We understand we're not playing our best, but if we could turn things around in a heartbeat, just going out there and having a good drive.
And how good did you feel getting that 8 minutes of rest when the offense was on the field that whole time?
Yeah, that was huge. I think that's something Coach Davis and Coach Entz have just really solidified here. I think we have that DNA just in this culture with what we've built in the past coaches with Sweeney and Hill and Teddy. But, that's Bulldog football at its finest, imposing our will as the time goes on. And that's what we've worked for all winter and summer with Coach Ward, and that's just a product of him. And so, he's a huge guy to highlight in that moment because his strength and conditioning program, he's put us in a job to win that. I mean, you look at it, we were more conditioned. The offense was more conditioned than their defense going down the stretch, and that won us the game ultimately.
How helpful is it for the secondary when the D-line is coming up with pressure almost every play?
Yeah, they've been huge this week. All year, Coach G and Coach E, Coach O have done a great job in getting those guys ready, and we've got some talented pass rushers up front. And, I think the last time this team was really good, they had a really good pass rusher in David Perales. And, that's something that's huge for a defense. Any good team in the NFL in college has great pass rushers up front that do a great job playing both the pass and the run. And so have those guys come along, they played their tails off tonight. And for them to close things up in the run game, we knew if we could make them pass that the game was in our favor, and they were playing their tails off.
And with your journey, how fulfilling is it to have a game like this personally and also as a team?
Yeah, it's really cool individually, but I just want to share these moments with my family. I think just time's coming down pretty close. I've only got a few more games in that stadium, and so I just want to make it a joy with my family. These are memories we're going to talk about for a really long time, and these are guys in that locker room that are going to be in my life for a very long time. In my wedding, and guys I'm looking up to the rest of my life, and leading as well. And so just to be able to have this journey with them, that's the most important thing. But I just hope when I leave this place, I left it a better place and impact the people around me and just honor the Lord in everything I did. And I think that was a huge stepping stone for me tonight, just to have confidence and knowing he's going to show up for me. And that's been my prayer the last 2 games, and, he's doing great things. So I just hope, when I leave this place that I've built great relationships that'll last a lifetime, and I've brought some good people along with me.
You and the defense forced 2 turnovers on 2 plays to start the second quarter on Nevada's offense. The offense scoring, you get back out on the field, you get a turnover, just the chaos and the emotion that goes through everybody as you're getting back on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some guys making great, huge plays, and we just want to celebrate, But like you said, things can turn around fast, so it's all about getting things calmed down. How can we go back out there and have another great drive and stack one onto each other when we gain the momentum like that. But it's tough when you get a turnover, quick touchdown, and you're already back on the field, and that can get a pretty tiring 2 drives. But there's a lot of energy and momentum we got to carry with that.
Kevin, 2 two of the most memorable plays of the game had to be Ryan Wilson's hits. Can you speak on the experience of being his teammate and to see him making plays like this?
Yeah, man. Ryan's come a long way, dude. When I talk about a guy in my wedding, like that's the guy I'm talking about. We both started here kind of just guys on kickoff, just playing our tails off for Coach Baxter, and the way that Coach Baxter and these coaches have developed me and him together has just been awesome. Ryan's come on for us these last few games. He wasn't playing too much, and he'll tell you that the first few games, and I just kept encouraging him, let's keep going, man. Like I believe in you, and Coach believed in him, and I knew his opportunities would come, but to be able to share these moments, he's been a guy who's been here my whole time. I got special relationships with guys like him and Jaden Davis, who were guys that welcomed me and are still in that room. We've had a lot of changes around here, but to have guys like that solidified around me, they make being a Bulldog just as great as it is.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of depth there. Is playing with him and the chemistry any different than the other guys in the room?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to be play with a lot of good safeties as I've been here. And Ryan has just exceeded his expectations all year, man. Like, he just continues to get better, and I could just overhear him and Coach Bendo just talking about his growth since the spring. But anytime I'm out there, it's just all about me and that guy, the guy on the other side, just playing as one and on a string. And I think we all feel comfortable, from me, Jaden Davis, Ethan, Ryan. No matter who's out there, we're just wanting to work together and play for each other.
Thank you.
You've now played for 3 head coaches in this team. Tedford was here tonight.
Yeah.
Skipper last year, but
Yeah.
what makes Ince stand out between the 3 of them?
Yeah, I got to see Coach Teddy pregame, which was awesome. I love that guy. He gave me an opportunity. But Coach Ince has been phenomenal, man. Coming in, the transition's been so smooth. And I just really respect how he's taken things, and taking this program, because this is a special program. Things have been done a certain way for a really long time, and he's put his stamp on it, and he's fit right in. But at the end of the day, I committed to this program being a Bulldog, as my parents are alums, and the biggest thing is always playing just for that logo on the helmet, the red helmet. No matter who's the coach, at the end of the day, I'm just going to play for Bulldog football, and I'm honored that that's Coach Ince, and he's been along this journey. He's helped me tremendously.
You guys were able to score. The offense scored 17 points off the 4 turnovers.
Yeah.
What does that do for your defense that the offense is able to utilize what you guys are doing defensively?
Yeah, I think we're just every game we're emphasizing complementary football, and it's our job to put them in good positions to succeed. And like I said, that's just our job, and they're going to go out there and complement us. I think last week we showed good moments, and so did they, and tonight we showed good moments, and so did they. And that's why I continue to talk about our best football's in front of us, because there hasn't been many moments where we're all playing our best football. But I think we're ready to take a step this week.
On those gotta-have-it plays, when you see Jaden come up and make those tackles for losses,
Yeah.
especially in those moments, that fourth quarter moment where you felt like that offense was getting rolling. What do you see of those plays particularly, and the way they were able to attack, especially those tackle for losses?
Yeah, Jaden's been huge, man. Ever since he stepped in this building, he just brings a different energy every day, and the same energy every day, But he just changes the room and changes the game every time he steps on the field. And, those are huge, like you said, gotta-have-it plays. And that's what he's here for, man. That's why we brought him here. And I've known Jaden for a long time. We shared some time in junior college together, and so I've got to watch him for a really long time, and he just continues to get better. And so I'm excited to be next to him and him leading our team.
Speak to turning the page, because it's a short week now.
Yeah.
You got Friday, you got travel,
Yeah.
all that stuff. What does that challenge bring to you for this game in Colorado State next week?
Yeah, like I said, we're just going to get better this week. That's the biggest thing. I think we've got a great opportunity, a really good team in Colorado State. I don't think anything should fool you about who they are. I think they were great last year. We played them tough last year, and I'm excited to go up there and play. I think that's going to be a really cool opportunity, cool environment to play in. But they're going to be a tough team, and one of my favorite things about being a Bulldog is you're going to get everyone's best shot. got Nevada coming in. They give us their best shot. Hawaii gives us their best shot. And you best believe Colorado State's going to do the same thing, and all the teams down the road. And so what an opportunity we have to be challenged, honestly, in those games like we were tonight. Like, we got better tonight, even though we didn't play our best football. We found out something about ourselves. And so I think as we continue, I hope there's some ones that aren't so close, but I hope we continue to learn from these moments like this game and last week.
Just quick, when Coach kept being mentioned and the big win today, you had to have seen it earlier today before the game. What did you think when you saw him pull off the upset?
Yeah, I'm happy for him. He's worked his tail off, but I love him. But the most important thing is what we got going in this building right now. But I wish him the best of luck, and he's a Bulldog. We're rooting on the Bulldogs, and but what we got going here is special, and I'm just emphasizing that.
Cool. Thanks, Dan.
All right, thanks, guys.
Congrats.
Have a good night. Thank you.